Why is this a good thing? Isn't it just because everybody who's very young is very lazy and can't cope with a 5-day week?
Not at all. So in the UK, we have a real problem with burnout and overwork amongst our workforce. And it's hitting not just employees' well-being, but it's hitting their productivity too. What we saw through this trial and companies moving to a shorter working week was not only did their stress decrease, not only did workers' burnout decrease, not only did their sleep problems decrease, but we saw company revenue go up against a comparison period compared to it was before. We saw resignations of staff in these companies decrease compared to prior to the trial. So we saw a win-win for workers and business. It's not about people being lazy, it's about them being more productive.
But Jack, how is that possible? How is it possible that the companies became more profitable with people only working for 4 days?
So as part of moving towards shorter working hours, these companies and their workers took on a review of their working practices. So they thought about how they could be more efficient in the time they had. Whether that was cutting down on meetings, arranging their shift patterns or work processes more efficiently. It was a real chance for an audit of their working practices. And they saw the benefits of that, like we've said, not just with the workers, but in terms of business performance as well.
So just imagine how much profit they'd make if they could execute those sorts of changes over a 5-day week. They'd be making a fortune. I'm right, aren't I, Alex Proud?
Yes, I was about to say, I'm not sure why you can't audit your work process and your meetings, etc., while you're working 5 days. The other thing I noticed, we didn't say increased profit, you said increased revenue, but that was probably because the last comparison example was taken during lockdown, wasn't it? Which probably is more to do with it. I think the rest of what you said was all the people involved in the trial, i.e. the people now working 4-day weeks, loved it. And the saying turkeys and voting for Christmas comes to mind. Of course, people preferred working less time. I mean, I'd like to work 4 days a week. When you said the biggest problem Great Britain faces is burnout and overwork and stress, that is, with due respect, complete nonsense. This country faces a productivity epidemic nightmare. We are appallingly unproductive. We've got less productive recently since lockdown. And probably the worst thing you could do with this country is remove 20% of the working time. We are the bankrupt person of the OECD right now. Russia has a GDP growing faster than ours when it's in the middle of a war and sanctions. We are shockingly in a bad place, our economy, whether it's public services, the NHS, the police, or private companies moving their listings to American and French and Amsterdam stock markets. This country is failing. The worst thing you can do right now is reduce productivity further. I think what we need to do in this country is work out what's going wrong with us. Why are people burning out? Why are people unsatisfied? I think it's a very easy solution to turn around and say they want to work less. That isn't going to work for Britain.
Jack, isn't it? Thank you, Alex. It's very hard to argue with that, Jack. And really, isn't it just this idea that everyone's stressed? Well, you know what? Life can be hard. People don't know real stress now, do they? You're 23 years old, straight out of university, going for a cushy job in the media and going, I don't want to work 5 days because I'm stressed. I'm only going to work 4.
So the companies involved in this weren't just young people in media companies. We had breweries involved, we had forms of hospitality, we had construction companies, we had quite a wide range of age demographics. Look, Alex is right. Productivity in the UK is a real problem. But work, stress, burnout, the figures we get from the authorities like the health and safety executives show the amount of working time we lose to this poor physical and mental health amongst workers. So, I mean, we can pretend that it's not grounded in reality, but it's being borne out time and time again across these trials. It's not just the workers that want to keep a shorter working week. It's the bosses too, right? And they're not going to keep it unless they're seeing a positive impact on their businesses. The evidence is really mounting up around the world now, right? Yeah, Alex, this is time to push forward.
No, listen, the reason I'm bringing in age into this is because I do have a great deal of sympathy for parents, OK? I have a lot of sympathy, particularly when you've got young children and you're trying to juggle everything. I mean, I joke about the fact that I do a 4-day working week. Well, of course, my Friday isn't spent sat at home flicking through Netflix like the millennials might be doing. My Friday, I'm catching up on the admin, I'm doing the laundry, I'm emailing the school, I'm doing all the stuff that parents have to do. You might have a bit of sympathy, maybe, Alex, if we kind of delineated this over age groups.
Oh, I mean, I have loads of sympathy for loads of people. I have a member of staff who quite, one of the perhaps the only good things to have ever come from COVID is I'm completely fine if a member of staff says I've got Parents' Day or I've got my child at home, it's half term, can I do a couple of days on Zoom? I don't like Zoom full time because I think when we all work together, we're much more creative and we fire off each other. I actually enjoy being at work because I like the people I work with. Don't let them hear that, by the way. But I enjoy being at work. It's mentally really good for you. I think it's awful being at home. And I'm totally fine if someone voluntarily, if I have a senior member of staff who wants to join and says, I want to get paid to work a 4-day week because of childcare arrangements, I'm way up for that. I've got various women who work for me for 2 or 3 days a week because they may have childcare arrangements that make that much more suitable. Let's be flexible. I'm talking about when I'm paying people the same amount of money that I paid them on 5 days to work 4 days. That's what I'm saying. Flexibility, intelligence, sensitivity, caring about your staff. Those are important things. I'm not paying the same amount of money for 5 days as for 4 days. That's basically getting ripped off. I'm sorry.
Go on, Jack. I can see you wanted to come in.
That's fine. Well, so in terms of flexibility, so across the companies involved here, this wasn't a single structure of 4-day working week that was implemented. So companies have a choice to design it how best work for them. So while some would have taken a full day off, many others would have staggered it across different days of the week or reduced their hours too. So there's flexibility in this model. That's what's really interesting moving forward. I'd also say companies weren't getting ripped off. They were getting the same productivity that they got for 5 days within those 4 days. They saw increases, they saw benefits across their workplace. This wasn't a case of people skiving out for a single day. I think many people will say that they started to enjoy work more once they had this time away from it. This is about enhancing their time at work, not getting distracted from it.